Emily, you ready?
Microphone.
All right, guys, we're going to get started. All right, everybody turn their mics on, please. All right, folks, we're going to get started. If everyone could mute their phones, please. Welcome to our October 14th Beech Mountain Town Council meeting. I'd like to, for 37 years, Calder was a hardworking individual here on Beech Mountain that gave to the mountain and our community. I'd like to have a moment of silence for Calder, please. Thank you. Very good, thank you. Need a motion to call our meeting to order.
Motion. Second.
All right, so item 2 is adoption of the agenda, and I need to make a motion to pull item 6.3 off of the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Cyclone,
Yes, sir.
you got 2 minutes.
It's gonna take that long to get there.
That's good. It's a good comeback.
I was tutored by Jim Brooks. I can't do anything.
Oh,
Our scripture today is from Proverbs 27:10. And it really hit home with me. A friend close by is better than family far away. Boy, I found that to be so true. When Carrie and I first moved here in '94, we didn't know a soul. It was in June. By Christmas, we had more friends here than we had in Florida where we moved from. I've always felt that we were divinely led here. I think a lot of you probably feel the same way. I never even thought about Beech Mountain, a house, anything. We used to visit my wife's parents in Boone. They had a home. So we wanted to come there. And we were hell-bent on going to Boone. And so we got a realtor. She showed us some houses, and we made an offer on one. 1 month passed, 2 months, 3 months, we still hadn't heard from her. So her name was Faith, F-A-I-T-H. About, I don't know, a week or so after that then, we had a phone call from one of her colleagues at the realtor place, and she was telling us that Faith got mad at everybody there, and she got all of her files and slipped out in the middle of the night. But this lady had found one that was left, and it was ours. It was kind of down under a drawer somewhere. So she called us and asked us if we were still interested in houses up here. Her name was Hope. We got Faith and we got Hope. So you see what I meant by divine. But she said, why don't you look on Beech Mountain? We hadn't even thought about that. And we had one of Karen's parents' friends had a chalet on T-Bear. And so we'd come in and go skiing, and I would retired a year before my wife did, so I'd come up with a camcorder and make pictures, and I'd go back and show it. So I came up and I was staying there to look at some houses, and Hope put us in touch with a realtor on Beech Mountain. And I know you're thinking now, Faith, Hope, that's got to be love, a charity one. It was Jim.
That's hate.
But well, Jim had a list of houses he's going to show me, and so he wanted to tell me about Beech Mountain first. Though, so he talked about an hour and a half about how great Beech was, and so his cell phone rang. He said, "Man," so I had another client 30 minutes ago. Said, "Here's a list of the houses. Here's direction. Here's the keys. Go pick your one house." So we did. I got to one. The keys wouldn't work, so I called the office, and Jim said, "Yeah, something wrong with the lock." I said, "Go down to the bottom level, and it's a sliding glass door." So it's broken. Just go on in and check it out. So I said, "I don't know about all this." He said, "Oh, everybody's gone." I said, "There won't be anybody there." Long story short, we bought that house. We were there about 5 years. But it wasn't too long after we'd been here that I met a young man, I can't recall his name. I know Fred and Jim probably would know him. But I guess the best way to describe him, an itinerant preacher. He would hold services at picnic area, pavilion, abandoned building, parking lot, what have you. He never had any money. I think his trade was an animal tamer, lion tamer with service. But he would work around ski slopes, house set, construction, just what have you. And this guy would wind up, he wouldn't have any money at all, but he would go to Sweden, Australia, stuff like that to religious conventions. And somebody's, either individual or church, would pay for him. Well, I guess the most impressive thing that I saw with him is pickup truck brakes needed bad. This thing was falling apart. And so he took it to the dealer over in Boone and said he didn't have enough money to pay for it. He just leave it, let somebody help him out. So he got a call, come over and pick up your truck. So he went over, when he got there, it said the dealer stepped out and handed him the keys to a brand new 4-wheel drive pickup truck. And he said, "It ain't mine." So the dealer said, "Yes, it is." So some fellow down in South Florida saw his old truck there and was so impressed by him that he bought him a brand new one for cash and told him to announce, so I don't know who it was. As far as I know, we never found out. But getting to the point where I started to, this guy told me something one time. He said that he had a vision, that God had spoken to him and was telling him that he was bringing people in to Beech Mountain from all different places, all different faiths, and he had a plan for what he was going to put in place. And so I don't know if how that ever worked out about that, but I do know that this place is filled with people who practice the golden rule. We do unto others, and we look out for each other. And prime example of that was this hurricane we had about a year ago, how people came together. And I know individually, so many people helped me with it, and I know the town did. I told a story one time about this one neighbor came by there, my Jeep was running, I was charging my phone, and this good neighbor was afraid I forgot to turn it off, I'm gonna run the battery, so he, we won't say who it was, really. But anyway, I appreciate everything with that. And about 12 years ago, I was honored to be asked to do the devotion to town council. And I don't know, about 2 or 3 years, I wasn't politically correct enough, so some of the other regime asked me to change, and I didn't feel comfortable changing the way I was doing it. So we dropped out for a while, and then the present administration came in, Mr. Putney and Mr. Abernathy here, and they told me to get myself back up here and go to work again. So I thank you fellas for having me back.
Thank you.
It's really a great honor. Now, old Mother Nature and Father Time, they kind of caught up with the old coach, and I'll be moving 1st of November to an assisted living place in Jacksonville, Florida. It's about near my 2 sons, and be about a half mile from Mayo Clinic and about a mile from the ocean. And I don't want to leave Beech Mountain, but don't have much choice. I should have left 5 years ago. Really, my wife passed away, but I've been accused of being stubborn, and I think that's not really a bad thing. Sometimes stubborn makes you do things that you feel need to be done. So anyway, excuse my emotion here. I knew I was going to do it. But I just want you to know, you people, all you people on Beech Mountain, I will always love you, and I wish you the best. I wish I could tell each person how much I love you. I can't do it, so please just know that I do. And you will always be a part of me. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And very much. Will you bow your head, please? Lord, we thank you for this place. We thank you for allowing me to be here all these years, and thank you for all these wonderful people. I pray, Lord, you be with the EMTs and military, firefighters, and police officers. And I pray, Lord, that you'll be with our nation, and we thank you so much for letting these hostages be released, and we just pray that this will hold up. And we ask, Lord, that you bless Mayor Warner, our President Donald, our Town Manager Bob, and ask you to continue to bless the United States of America and Beach Mountain. Amen.
So, Cyclone, the highlight of my tenure as being on town council is having you back, giving devotion and some of your life stories. And I hope it's touched me, and I hope I'm sure by the folks that are here in this room today, it's touched many lives. And I can't imagine what it was like if I would have had you as a football coach. So at this time, we can do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, public, I'm sorry. At this time, I'd like to recognize, his fancy title is outside technician, but he's actually our landscaper on Beach Mountain. And I'd like to recognize Matt Cody. Matt?
Come on in. Come on in.
So, go ahead, Art.
No, good, you do it.
So the pictures that you see here on the screen, we've had some similar to this, but I tell you, Matt's he's done a really nice job in making Beach Mountain pop. The beautification projects that he's done are fabulous, and he's really added a nice touch to the beautification projects here on Beach Mountain. Matt, thank you so much. You want to say anything? Or?
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right, public comment. This is time for the public to address their elected officials on issues not on the agenda. The town council is interested in hearing your concerns. However, speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on items brought before us. So our first public comment will be by Fred Folk.
Thank you very much. It's kind of hard to follow Cyclone, but my whole deal for the last couple of weeks since the last meeting, I wanted to have a chance to thank my friend Matt for all that he's done on the mountain. He's fallen in the steps of Susan Konepka, but he makes our town look beautiful. And I just wanted to tell him how everybody in the town appreciates what he does. And just to give you an example, about a half an hour before the meeting, the UPS man arrived, and he emptied his truck with 6,000 daffodil bulbs that Matt and his friends are going to plant, and we hope some of y'all will help too. But anyhow, he does a great job, and I just want to thank him for not only does he make things look pretty, but he's a hard worker, and I've got to know him a lot in the last little bit. So, Matt Cody, thank you for making Beach Mountain more beautiful by the day.
So Fred, since you guys become friends, Matt's a retired firefighter from Charlotte. See what you can do to get him on our fire department. Our next public comment is from Darcy Steiger.
My name is Darcy Steiger, and I live at 124 Raven Road. And I didn't realize I was going to be the chorus. Mine is for Matt Cody, too, and I didn't know it until just now. I wanted to thank him for the beautiful flowers and all the displays that he has along the parkway. He's done a marvelous job, and I want you all to know that he's well worth the money, whatever you're paying him. Thank you.
Lynn?
Lynn Bernstein, 304 Lake Ledge Road, and I didn't realize it would be like before presentations, but I wanted to speak to the commercial district planning process, which I think is excellent, and really looking forward to the presentation today and to finding out how the proposed project could be incorporated and make Beech Mountain a better place for us all. Thank you.
Thank you. David Murray?
Thank you. I want to apologize in advance because it's going to sound like I'm complaining. And I don't want to complain because you all do such a great job, and I'm very appreciative, especially this last year. However, I just have to bring to your attention, I live on Hollow Tree Road. And if any of you have driven down Pinnacle Ridge Road, down that far, you're in for a ride of your life. It's something. I'm not talking about potholes or any of that stuff. I'm talking about mini trenches where people have hooked up their, I guess it's their water line, their water meter.
Water and sewer.
And somebody's come along, I don't know whether we outsource it or our crew does it, and filled it in. And you know when you caulk something around the house and the caulk settles, goes down? Well, that's what's happened. And y'all need to take a look at it. There's about half a dozen serious trenches. I'm not talking about this big. They go like about 6 feet, 7 feet, 10 feet across the road. And I just think, again, I apologize. I don't want to complain, but I think we could do better. And I wish you would.
Thank you. Our next speaker was Jim Brooks, but we're not going to let him speak, and we're going to give his time to the Hill Group. No, I'm kidding. Okay, that concludes the public comments. Thank you. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Old business, item 7.1, board vacancies. The 3 applicants for the Board of Adjustment.
So, need a motion?
Mhm.
I make a motion for the first one that's going into is it 2026? Are these vacancies, according to the packet, 2026 and 2027?
Yes, ma'am. You need to appoint a first alternate to the Board of Adjustment and a third alternate for the Board of Adjustment. The first is December of 26, and the third alternate is December of 2027.
Gotcha. All right, I make a motion to make the appointment of Tracy Abernathy to the December 2026 vacancy that's coming up.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Nay. No.
Okay, takes care of item 7.1, thank you. Item 7.2,
Mayor.
Oh,
We have a second one.
I need a third alternate.
I'm sorry, and we need a third alternate.
I make a motion for Lynn Bernstein
I missed
for
that.
the December 2027 third alternate term, Board of Adjustment.
All in favor?
Second. Second. No.
All right, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 7.1 passes. Item 7.2, this is a nuisance ordinance proposed amendments. I need a motion for item 7.2, please.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Chief, any discussion with council?
Mayor, no, this had a public hearing, the planning board approved it. We made the changes that council requested, specifically the height of grass before it's a nuisance, and it's ready for your consideration.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
Pretty straightforward.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. New business. Item 8.1. This is a proclamation of appreciation for Cyclone. So, a lot of times I don't like reading all the whereases, but I didn't know I was gonna have to read this. So I read it quickly and I'm like, it's a very impressive resume, and I look forward to reading this, Cyclone. This is proclamation of appreciation for Julie Cyclone Brett. Whereas Cyclone and Karen Brett moved to the town of Beach Mountain in the early 1990s after Cyclone retired from a career as a football coach, educator, and school principal. And whereas the couple began volunteering in the town and surrounding community, including volunteering for, donating to, and supporting projects of the Banner Aquinas Club, Volunteer Avery, Feeding Avery Families, Reaching Avery Ministries, the Beach Mountain Chamber of Commerce, and the Beach Mountain Parks and Recreation Center. And whereas Cyclone has served as a member of the Beach Mountain Volunteer Fire Department from 1994 to 2001. And whereas as retired educators, Cyclone and Karen began a volunteer reading program to read to children at the Beach Mountain School, which served K through 8 children in the old Beach Mountain community on the backside of the mountain, and continue to read, volunteer, and bring other volunteers into that selected school until it closed in 2011. And whereas Cyclone and Karen continue to serve the old Beach Mountain community, volunteering in events at the school building, which was converted into the old Beach Mountain Community Center. And whereas after Karen's passing in 2020, Cyclone continued volunteering and leading the annual Christmas project for the children of that community, collecting donations, insisting upon the biggest and best gifts he could find for each child, and playing the role of Santa Claus at their annual festivities. And whereas Cyclone has provided inspirational messages and invocations at the opening of Beach Mountain Town Council meetings for more than a decade. And whereas Cyclone's positive spirit and servant's heart, powered by his deep faith, has long blessed the residents of the surrounding community and the town of Beach Mountain. We, the Mayor and Town Council of the town of Beach Mountain, hereby express our deepest gratitude and appreciation for our dear friend and beloved community member, Cyclone Brett. Would anyone else like to join this picture? Come on.
A preacher back there, he don't want to party.
I'm his rabbi.
Oh, you're not staying for all the good stuff, huh?
Hey, I told Cyclone it was okay to go to Jacksonville, but he couldn't change his answering machine. God bless the United States of America, and God bless Beach Mountain.
Item 8.2, Trail Town promotion. Need a motion to open this up, please.
Motion.
Second.
All right, Chief Budney.
Mayor, this is information only to report that the Outdoor NC Trail Stewardship Program, the town has been entered into that. This, you may recall, was a request from the TDA, and they not only funded it, but our visitor center staff and the TDA made this happen for the town. We put some information in the bag, but right now, the town of Beech Mountain is a North Carolina Town USA recognized locale and marketed as such. Obviously, our trails are key to the success of our town. So this is a report, but it's hats off to the TDA and the visitor center staff for making this happen.
Excellent.
Thank you. You guys have any questions? Yeah. Never mind, scratch that. Okay, item 8.3. Need a motion to open up the commercial district planning process report.
Motion. Second.
All right, Chief Budney.
I gotta go get them.
Put it in my office.
While they're getting put together, and I'll get their presentation up here. This is a culmination of the planning process for the commercial district. This is a continuation of the planning process, actually culmination. This is this group, the Hill Group's final report. This ends their contractual relationship to the town. What I'd like to accomplish tonight is for you to see their planning process. They have two plans. We'd like you to select one. And more importantly, I'd like at the end of their presentation for you to give us permission to move forward with phase 2, which would be begin the implementation of a plan, begin the nuts and bolts, as I call it, and we would ask the TDA to assist us in that as well. So let me introduce David Hill, and let me get his presentation up, and I'm going to let you get started.
Thanks, Bob. Get that in slideshow mode.
We're getting there.
Okay, thank you. And thanks everybody for having us here. I see some faces I've seen before. Mr. Red.
And you go the next one.
Okay, thank you. And so today we'll be presenting our final two versions of the plan, which many of you helped us to create over the summer. And just to remind you, we've had a collaborative of firms working with you on this. David Hill, myself from Hill Studio. With us also today from Civic by Design is Tom Lowe, and also Whitney Hodges from Whitney Hodges Consulting. So the three of us will do the presentation today. And as you can see here, there have been a number of other experts that have been on this all-star team working with you over the summer. And if you don't remember, we've tried to run a very public process during this. And as Bob mentioned in our very first meeting, change is coming. Either make a plan for managed growth, or the growth is going to manage us. We're trying to create an actionable plan, a cooperative plan, and economically, at a minimum, the development shown in this plan must support itself. And the other thing that made this very important for us right now is there's a tremendous momentum for change. The economics are starting to drive people getting very interested in developing in and around this area. So it's a very important time to put the plan in front. So I'll introduce Whitney, who'll remind us of the public engagement, which has been substantial on the project.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Where we wanted to start was getting a map of where people lived. And so we did that in our first charrette. And just kind of saying, okay, we know that we have this central core that we're looking at, but where are people coming from? And through the charrette process, we have, if you want to go back and watch any of this, please by all means do. It's on the town website or in their archives. So if there's any meeting you missed, you can go back and see that. And I will tell you about a little good mischief as we go along. So why it was important to have so many opportunities is because Beech Mountain is really unique. And so in order to capture that uniqueness, we needed to be able to speak with a lot of people and kind of have the same conversations, but in different ways. So one of the ways was to create that project website. We did community partner interviews. That's where we started, and I'll show some of the results from there, as well as having pop-up events later in the summer so that we could capture different visitors or second home residents that were up here for the summer, as well as 2 3-day design charrettes. Now, through all of this, from charrette 1 to charrette 2, we had an online survey that people could take. And so in those community partner inputs, what we learned was what people loved about Beech Mountain. And I just kind of put together a word cloud to kind of show you what that is. And then what were some big ideas? Because one of the things that we really wanted in this plan was for people to see the things that they wanted out of the community in the plan. So we wanted to make sure we had opportunities for those. 6 themes emerged, and that was to transform Beech Mountain from a resort town to a mountain destination, that circulation and parking were key to the success of the commercial center, that the plan and whatever happened needed to balance the needs of tourists, seasonal residents, and full-time residents. That creating a gathering space was really important to just about everybody we talked to, and then providing walkable and pedestrian-friendly community, as well as building up the assets that are already here. Over and over again, we heard how much people love different parts of Beech Mountain, so we wanted to make sure those were in the plan, in what we were proposing. So a lot of you, as David said, were around for charrette 1, and we took comments from our big idea boards from those 6 themes. I will not read these to you, but they're here for you if you would like to, the presentation, so you can go back and look at what people said. And I'll just go slow just in case. But we had these Post-it notes up if you were there, and so this is what some of the people said, and I kind of put them into different ideas, and we had some others. But in the pop-up events, we had 5 different events over 4 days, and what we wanted to do is to be able to go where people are in order to collect data, because sometimes it's really hard to get to a public meeting or a 3-day charrette. The timing may not be right. So we were just trying to capture as many people as we could. So if you see little figurines around town, I am the reason you have little figurines around town. I call that good mischief, and kids really love them, and adults really love them because you can place them somewhere else. And I tell kids, if your parents find them, it's bad mischief. But if somebody else finds them, it's good mischief because it just puts smiles on people's faces. We also give out a lot of rubber ducks on the slip and slide hill, which was huge. It was a really popular kind of thing. And it helped people. And we let kids build in Legos of what they wanted to see. And what we learned, again, I will not read these to you, but these were some of what we got confirmed from the community, the community input, community partner input interviews, as well as from the first charrette. That there are themes and things that people wanted over and over, like shopping, community gardens, green spaces. But then some new ideas came out. And so I wanted to make sure that we captured all of those. So our hope is that by charrette 2, that you saw something of what you had put into giving us comment. And we presented 3 options, and we still had a bunch of community input to narrow that down to 2. And I even put out some more good mischief, in case anybody found it. So, like I said, one of the ways that we got people engaged is through this online survey. So they could take a card or a QR code and go on and take the survey later. We had 588 responses, and the most important part of that is that a great percentage of those were either primary residents or have second homes. So they are people that are invested in the community. And that's really where this will tell you those statistics of what that is. And things that planners love a word cloud. So these are some things that were mentioned as far as their favorite places of Beech Mountain. And as well as what I would take from these is one of the things that people really wanted in this plan was a safe, attractive community core that had green space. And the types of businesses that, when it came to shopping, were casual dining, bakeries, coffee shops. There was a need for some different types of offices like medical care. They also had what they would like to see in their public spaces, as well as the types of residential development they thought would be best in Beach Mountain. We use something called Placer AI, which is a big database. There's a way of capturing data through cell phones to create what we call the, and I've just lost my word. Primary, yes, trade areas. I'm like, just lost this word. What is it called? So we're looking for trade areas, like who's coming to Beach Mountain. And what's great about this is it's real-time data. So we know what that visitor does while they're here. We looked at it in two ways. We wanted to see what the impacts from Praline were. And most notably is that the annual, from 2023 to 2024, it dropped over the whole year. You had a 21% drop in tourism. For the leaf season, it was a 350% drop. That is coming back, but it's just to tell you the impact that tourism has.
If you've driven around the last couple of weekends, you know it's back.
Yeah. And so there are 681 people in Beach Mountain. And one thing that is remarkable about this is where you sit in your zip code. You'll notice you're here, and some of your surrounding counties, they're not growing, your surrounding areas, they're not growing like you are. And so that's a pretty significant kind of data point. And that most of you own your own homes, and only a small percentage, or 17% rent. So, and I'm gonna pass it off to Dave.
You know, one of the other demographic pieces that Aaron captured was that, you all were into the short-term rental market way before, Airbnb and VRBO. 600 residents, 3,000 listings, it's remarkable. So what we also know now is, Beach Mountain has a lot of people who are here for a week or two, not permanent residents, but for a week or two that we need to take care of. And they contribute significantly to the potential for the retail market. This picture here on the left is a map that shows our primary and secondary trade area, and that's done with zip codes. You'll see Town of Beach Mountain is the little dark area in the middle, and then these are zip codes that radiate out. And this slide captures what we call leakage, and the idea is that if people spend a certain amount of money on a certain item in this trade area, and if you look at that versus the amount of that particular item sold, you know how much either you're capturing or leaking out to other places. And as it turns out, your market in Beach Mountain is actually leaking a lot of money to other places. And so this is also starting to give us really good justification for potential commercial district downtown. And it happens in these categories. For example, convenience, gas stores, clothing, drugstores, etc. On the right, the white number is the leakage in the primary trade area, and then added to that, the number on the left in orange, secondary trade area. Now Aaron also takes this and he converts it into square feet. How much square footage could we support of different types of retail in a commercial area in Beach Mountain? And generally, 50,000 square feet could be easily supportable. And that's using 30% of the primary trade area leakage and 15% of the secondary trade area leakage. So it's a very conservative figure at that. And so what we get is generally a retail or commercial district about the size of West Jefferson, just to give you, the historic part of West Jefferson. It could succeed here easily. So, while we were doing public engagement, while we were doing economics, we also were looking at cars and trucks, transportation planning. And one of the reasons is because you have an existing transportation problem with the Beach Mountain Parkway and accidents, particularly at your peak times in the winter and in the summer. And the second is if we're going to consider adding maybe houses and maybe commercial things, you're going to add to that and exacerbate it if you're not careful. So we need to study absorbing that and how to do it. So Bill Wunsch was up here with us this summer trying to solve some of those issues. And what he discovered was that, and of course you all already know this because you're residents, but for other towns this will be unusual data, is that you have two peaks. You have a huge peak in the wintertime, particularly December, January, and then you have another one in July. So you two times a year when you have the biggest surges. And if you really look at it, July, surprisingly, is, to me anyway, was the worst traffic, up to about 100,000 cars traveling back and forth per month between here and Banner Elk. And the other critical time is in the winter, and even though Bill started to graph all this stuff, we could have just asked anybody at Fred's store sitting on the bench, when is it? And it tends to be Saturday in January about 5 to 6 o'clock, heading from here back toward Banner Elk and Boone, right? Everybody in unison could have recited that. You already knew that. And so it's a real high peaking time right at that time, and that's also, of course, when you have the ice and the snow, and it makes for a lot of trouble. And so Bill and also Rick Hall, who was one of the other traffic consultants, we had a bunch of them working on this. It was great. Together, and they said, well, if you could, what's the low hanging fruit? What's the one thing you could do to solve a lot of this congestion trouble? They said, well, the easy thing would be just put a roundabout there at the entrance to the ski resort. And you can see they modeled one and put it in. You can see on the drawing, it actually takes up less asphalt than the current configuration. But what that would do is it gets everybody in that circle, so you're not waiting for somebody to turn, and backing up traffic for 15 minutes at a time, waiting for somebody to go in. And we could use that same strategy for other places in Beech Mountain that would help to alleviate some of that turning and backing up, which we'll show you in our plan. So Bill also looked at the parking, actual numbers of overflow parking and how much you really need. And his calculations were that would be ideal right now if you had about 1,360 parking places, and you currently have about 1,179. So right now we're at about the white is the ski slopes, and so tends to be on the Beech Mountain Parkway between the entrance to the ski slope and Town Hall, and then starting down the mountain. And then this chart shows some of the crashes happen between here and Banner Elk. And so, and they tend to happen, as you might imagine, on the slippery, steep mountain road between here and Banner Elk. So some of the easy solutions, more low-hanging fruit, would be to start to create pull-offs for uphill switchback areas. And there are a couple of these already, but you could create pull-offs pretty easily in some areas that could allow people that are having trouble to get off of the road. And would also, fender benders could get off the road so that it wouldn't hold up others. The other thing that he and others have started to gravitate toward is, could there potentially be multimodal opportunities? That is, you maybe don't have to drive your own car up here. There might be a bus that could link Johnson City, Boone, Blowing Rock, or Banner Elk in the future. That could really start to alleviate some of this peak problem. So the strategy that the design team, one of our favorite strategies, was to model this on another very successful ski town, Aspen, Colorado. And they have a couple of points that I think would work really well in the downtown commercial center. And it includes, premier parking on the hotel sites. That in Aspen, that's about $50 a day. That's, valet service. The part of it that we really loved was a 4-day parking pass for on-street parking for $16. This, you hang it in the mirror, and you can park anywhere in town on public streets for $16, move as much as you want. But the idea would be, when we show you the plan, the idea would be you can pretty much leave your car where it is and walk places. If you park off-site, such as down at the recreation center and take the shuttle service, that's free. And then walk from the town center to the ski lift. We'll show you that in a few minutes. That works great in Aspen. A lot of people just you park the car in Aspen and walk to the ski lift. So the resort lift personnel at the downtown would be at the downtown terminal, and maybe potentially resort personnel at distant visitor center bus stops if you wanted to implement that long-range bus. So now we'll start to get into the elements of the downtown commercial center. And one of the building blocks of that would be streets and roads. And we decided, especially to alleviate the parking and also just to create a very pleasant downtown, the streets and roads that would make up the commercial center would have sidewalks. They would have large verges for grass and shoulders and places to put extra snow, and they would all have parking. And so you'll see a number of different designs for different streets in the town. You can see that one has great big verges for snow to be placed. Or we have streets that have some parallel parking and also angled parking, and these create a lot of extra parking for people. Streets where we have the decorative street lights and trees and parking and sidewalks. So this combination you're starting to see in a lot of our designs, and even types of parking spaces that soak up the rain and the snow and start to help you with stormwater, and even little alleys. So, and then this one is a potential one-way loop road around a great big park that we'll show you. So if you looked at the potential for we're going to show you two downtown or two commercial district alternatives, but just this particular slide's in with all the other roads and parking. If you generate about 4,000 car trips and another 4,000 walking trips a day. What's interesting about that is if these commercial businesses were here in Beech Mountain rather than in Banner Elk and Boone, you're actually saving those vehicles from going down the parkway. So it's really replacing that 4,000 commuting all the way down and back off the mountain and replacing it. And then the peak hourly trips you might expect would add about 400 cars and 400 walking. And with the grid of streets and sidewalks that we have, we can easily accommodate that without needing any traffic lights or anything like that. So we feel like the addition of what we're proposing is not going to cause great impact, but instead help to alleviate some of the impacts that you're having right now on the streets. So the next part, I'll just introduce you just a little bit to the site we're talking about with the commercial center. And then I'll ask Tom Loeb to come up and describe the two alternative plans. Okay, so let me orient you here. And, oh, the mouse is working. Great. Right now we're in Town Hall, right in this area. And the Beech Mountain Parkway goes all the way through here. Fred's is down in this area. Ski slopes you can see up behind us. And then the Pinnacle, most people know the Pinnacle, that's over here on the other side. And so we're looking at about 22.7 acres in this blue, right here at the top of the mountain, what we call the saddle of the mountain. And about 40% of it, this image shows, is already owned by the municipality of Beech Mountain. So that was another reason this is a really important site. Plus it's really underutilized for its potential, from a commercial perspective. So one of the things that struck us is the views of this site. I'm not a great photographer, but I couldn't take a bad picture when looking off of this mountain in any direction, and even looking up toward the top of the ski slope from the sledding hill. The views are spectacular in any direction. So we looked at two different options for downtown, and Tom is going to come over and describe those. And if he can
someone suggested maybe doing the lights. Are these the switches here?
Yep.
Too dark. Okay. don't want to lose anybody, Tom, so. Okay. So, yeah, so don't worry. Brilliant words will make up for the lack of light.
So you just which one? This one. Okay. Thank you, David, and thank you, Whitney. I just wanted to thank them especially because they have really been a phenomenal team to collaborate with. David has brought an incredible staff. Whitney embedded herself in the town here, like for days and days and so forth. And of course all the other consultants who all have a specialty that we can't really do this without them because they really they prove stuff needs to be done or that it works. So one of the things I'd like to maybe preface at the beginning of my portion of this is all that you've heard so far are contingent on creating a great place. And to what Bob said, we can't just let commercial stuff just happen by right because everything that we presented won't work. If you create a plop down building with big parking lots out front without any walkability or green space, which is kind of what the by right is offering, none of this works. All the incredible amount of retail and commercial and things that will attract people here, basically it won't happen. So it's really important to think in terms of having a great plan, a great vision as part of this. And our crew here has done an incredible job of designing that with all your feedback. And especially thank the folks that participated. I recognize almost everyone here, I think, over the course of days and days. So we have two plans that we're calling the traditional, and then I guess you call it the traditional town circle plan. And they're basically identical except for the idea of creating this memorable place in the form of a circle that's, and you can see where it's just basically embedded right in a perfect little area that's already curving around. We already have about a half a circle already. It's just a matter of completing it. And then all of a sudden you have this incredible park and open space. And so those are the choices that are ahead of you in terms of how that works. But let's just talk about all the things that are embedded in the traditional plan. And in terms of traditional, what we mean by that, traditional towns, and for those that participated, we did a lot of presentations that talked about what those elements are. I won't go into those, except for just pointing out a few things. Generally speaking, it's a very fine-grained network of connected walks and streets and lanes and trails and open space. And you can see here that there's this informal grid that basically connects everything together. This is the parkway that exists now. And then there's some, and I'll show you some kind of traffic driving circulation diagrams in a minute. But you can see that this is just like, oh yeah, this is like West Jefferson, this is like Banner Elk, this is like, Blowing Rock. These are the towns that people love to come to. They park once, they get out, and they'll spend hours just kind of, hanging out, walking around, or they may be staying there and walking out their doors down the street. The other part of this is all you see in yellow here are potential development parcels. And so there's a lot, so basically all of this connectivity is woven through all of these, I consider these traditional blocks. They have rear lanes, so you can provide services and utilities and messy stuff, smelly stuff out of the way. It also accommodates access, parking access, and create these first-class walkable streets with housing and mixed use. So these parcels, you can see, all these kind of little spidery network of lines you see here are all the different property ownership patterns. What's also remarkable about this incredible design team is that, and I consider it almost a miracle that we actually overlay this system in a way that it lines up with the property line parcels, like, you know, like right here. This is where that mini storage area is. That's basically just connected into this block. So when this block is developed, the mini storage can transform into a variety of different things if they desire. It also means that everything doesn't have to happen all at once. It'd be great if it does, and it's a possibility that all this infrastructure could be done at one time. But you can also do it in phases, and some people may want to wait, and other people may want to pull the trigger. I remember before we left, he said, "We want to go right away. You know, get this, you know, started so we can get going." So that's exciting to hear as well. And again, in related to that, the fact that the town owns basically the kind of the heart and center of all this is remarkable, because this is a significant amount, I think 17 acres out of 22. And then you can also see they have easements. That's what these black lines are here, that run around for things like, I guess there's kind of water lines and sewer lines and utilities and so forth. But also they can be included as part of a new system of connected roads and streets. This is the street network, and this is kind of a little deceptive because it doesn't show all of the walking trails, which you can see. Can I go backwards and forward? I can't.
We're going to go backwards.
Yeah, just go. That's okay.
I don't think I can.
All right, don't worry about it.
I can try.
No problem. No, that's all right.
I did.
Okay.
Never say stop.
Okay. Well, I'll show you another one, but basically, about maybe a third to half of the blocks are actually green streets, which is something that's very popular now, where they're actually not where the cars go, where people drive, but actually people walk and hike, and actually play, lots of green spaces. So this system shows you, and the key thing maybe to look at here in terms of how do you get through all this. All right, here's the existing parkway. You know, it kind of snakes through, kind of this S-curve back and forth. That's the only way you can get through now. But what we've also done is inserted a system of a street system, a network, you know, of blocks that allows you kind of basically to drive through it in a lot of multiple ways. This is probably the primary. If you say you live down the hill here, you can either come through this way, or you can come up here, right through here and straight down, and then connect a little further. We have an image of that later. You can do this kind of, I guess you could say this is kind of the East Side Parkway that almost mirrors the existing parkway as a third way. So all of a sudden you have three means of getting through. Now, doesn't mean you're going to be able to speed through. It means basically you'll be going at a rate that you can, that pedestrians and bikers and hikers can also be accommodated in a safe way. So basically it gives you these outlets and connections. And this is that whole system, including the green streets. And you can see, these are, you know, you start seeing the block structure here and the street network, the green streets. This is the sledding hill. And you can see the parkway as they connect through in these locations. Now, part of this green system is that it helps to manage things like, basically it's pervious versus impervious, which basically means it manages rainwater and snow and those types of things in a good way. Also, not to ever forget that the importance of walkability, and I've talked about this quite a bit. The idea that people, if it's a 5-minute walk or less, people generally will do that versus getting in their car. If you basically end up somewhere in here, there's a huge parking alley here, and others. You know, it basically means that you'll want to walk because it's so pleasant and inviting to anything that's going on, including walking down here or getting on. We have a kind of a lift idea, carrying you over, but actually walking up to the ski slopes, which are located here. 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk maybe, 15-minute tops. You know, so basically you park once, you don't have to get in a shuttle, you don't have to, you know, trudge too far. So it's a really, really nice scale, amazing scale actually. So this is the site plan for that, the traditional plan. You can see that we have certain areas with buildings that are kind of the primary ones. These may be more mixed use with housing above, lodging above. And then the yellow would be more of just housing and different kinds of homes. Everything from large homes, just cottages, to townhouses, small apartment houses, even some small live works where you may have kind of a home shop or office or a gallery or artist studio, that kind of thing. There's also kind of a secondary node up here. It's kind of a junior node, which will be kind of a little hamlet on the edge down here, that the proposal is a hotel with basically a mix of housing around it that basically just takes advantage of these incredible views, which are some of the views that people don't see now. They can't see them until this is put in, and the incredible views will be in that direction as well. This is a summary sheet that talks about what's the content in terms of numbers in the plan. It's 22 total acres, almost 23. The potential commercial development based on our layout is, I think, it's possible to have 150,000. We have 115. We're kind of a little bit under that, being conservative. There are apartments, townhouses, cottages, and hotel units. You can see the numbers here. What that ultimately arrives at is about 15 dwelling units to the acre. I'm trying to think, the one, I always think the one that's the same density as south of Broad and Charleston. And I don't know why I pulled that out, I just knew that number. But anyway, it can be incredibly beautiful at that level of density. So just this is the point I'm making there. And then also the parking needs for this amount of commercial housing, mixed use, are 720, but we're providing more than double of that with the format. And we're not saying, oh, there's some ginormous sea of parking lots like when you go to Dollywood over in Gatlinburg. This is all embedded in that wonderful walkable street system with things like on-street, parallel and diagonal parking, and small little tuck-in parking spaces. And the other thing is that all of these apartment designs that we have for apartments, townhouses, and cottages are designed that on their particular lot, they are self-parked, which basically means they can accommodate a normative amount of parking. Now, when you have a resort like this, you probably will get more. Like, sometimes somebody rents a house and 5 cars show up, right? That's kind of like a general rule of thumb. That's what this number's for. So basically, okay, I'm going to buy a 4-day parking permit. I'm going to park a half a block away. I'm never use my car anyway. But, it's not sitting in our front yard, that kind of thing. So that's what that's about. We also, we're very visual, and it's always interesting, especially when a place has an incredible contour topography, like Beech Mountain. And so we always say, well, how does this plan look in terms of on top of everything that exists? This is the parkway coming up the hill. Then here we are in Town Hall here. Here's the Pinnacle condominiums and the sledding hill here. When you kind of insert this, you can see, okay, here you're coming up the hill. Here's this first option, secondary way of getting through right down here. Oh, you can come up and you can turn here and go around that way. Or you can just kind of come up in here and you're going to turn back in or just keep going and you can kind of meander through here. So it's a very kind of cool way to see how this lays. And we're very, very proud of our model of design, of urban design, as being something we say it lays very lightly on the land. It's very important for us not to just, flatten everything out and create huge retaining walls. Here's another view towards the real pinnacle of the mountain, the slopes, and you can see with the Pinnacle condos here, this is this parkway kind of coming around the east side, and then also the system of blocks in between. What's also interesting is you see this street that's coming this way. Also, that's actually a Green Street, but here's another street. This is kind of what we consider our main street, which would be probably like West Jefferson's. Basically buildings on both sides, right next to the sledding hill. See, it's right on axis with the peak of the mountain. So it's a really cool thing when you're out there shopping, you look up and you see the mountain peak. So it's very much of Beech Mountain. We're not just kind of plopping stuff down randomly. We're actually looking and orienting things in a way that actually make it really of your place, which is a lot of fun. And here's a close-up view of that. You don't see the peak up here. You can see here's the sledding hill as it exists, and then the street system, you know, with the blocks. All right, just so you know, so like here's a driving street next to Sledding Hill. Another drive. This is our main street next to Sledding Hill, and then this is a green street that takes you down where Fred's is located, right here. And then here's another driving street, and then here's the one that runs kind of, I guess that's north-south. Then in between, there are, you know, other green streets, and also here are the rear lanes I talked about behind the buildings. Like the old, you know, like alleys, but probably a little bit more gracious. So part of this model is that you can't really leave alone, you know, to create this walkable environment, you can't just leave the existing road here the way it is, which is basically, you know, just a lot of asphalt. You can just kind of roll around with your car and just kind of cruise in here and all over the place. You know, people are just saying, well, I'm not, it's kind of like, well, I'm not really comfortable walking there. I mean, I might run across the street or, you know, on a slow day, that's okay. But the idea is that we really want to step out. We want to bring the buildings closer. We want to put the parking behind them, reach in this direction. We want to create a really, really consistent pedestrian and biking environment along the edge of the edge here, which basically means that we're going to limit the front driveways. But you saw we have lots of streets, like, you know, there's blocks and blocks and blocks of streets that you turn into to get back inside where all the additional parking is. This is a sketch that our team member Peter did. This shows you just how he's starting to think in terms of things like on-street parking, green strips, sidewalks, you know, getting rid of the cars out front and creating outdoor, you know, plazas with, you know, people places with umbrellas and chairs and buildings that basically reach out, like, you know, just kind of reach out to the, you know, to the main street here. And the same thing over here on the other side. And then here's a beautiful version of how that looks with some color on it. You can really, you know, imagine visualizing this, how pleasant it is, and how much you feel, you know, it basically gives the pedestrians an even chance, right? I mean, you know, to get out and walk around, even more so. And if you're driving here, you're saying, you know, okay, I can get through here, and if, you know, all this kind of teaser parking out there, like, gosh, I just can't wait to get out of my car and get out and walk around. What's not a parking space? You know, that kind of thing. It's like you're really teasing people into staying here longer. You know, boy, I could stay here for 4 days. You know, that kind of thing. So, and this was just one diagram that we pulled out of our textbooks some of the stuff we put together. This is, when you're looking at a suburban model, this is a standard issue strip shopping center. Parking out front, all around, you know, loading docks in the back, really no sidewalks, that kind of thing. This is actually pretty nice because there is a green strip here, even though much of Beaches Parkway is just open, you know, asphalt. What you can do is you can retrofit these, you can extend the arms of buildings out in front, you can take parking lots and turn them into plazas, and you can basically create these kind of like perpendicular and tangential parking areas that are very convenient this way. And this is the kind of thing that we'd like to work with the existing property owners and show them the potential to maximize and enhance their properties. This is an interesting view. You can see the pinnacle here on our main street. This was a great sketch by Peter. This is the size of your existing sledding hill, even though this end building here visually blocks it from this view. You can see the sledding hill behind it. It's the same size, but what we've done here is proposed to what we call activate the edges. Yeah. And it's like a famous quote by an urban planner from the 1960s named Jane Jacobs. She says, parks are only as good as their edges. And what we want to do, instead of just having, you know, parking and kind of random stuff happening, is activate all these as people places, but also keep your, you know, basically something that people consider a very special part of, you know, with the sledding hill on it right now. But also really, you know, take advantage of it and make it more inviting. And so here's a, you know, wonderful color version of that, and you can really kind of you can visualize this large space, how nice that will be with big wide sidewalks. I would imagine this is probably the same size as as the green blowing around, probably not. Yeah. But, you know, keep the sledding hill part of it, that's what makes it cool. The other thing that we wanted to show you is an example of, this is that north-south street that extends from, you know, kind of back behind the parkways over here, coming up the hill, and you can see, when you see those drawings with just the streets with maybe a green strip next to it that's in the master plan, this is the scale of them, huge. Look how nice this is. I mean, this is an incredibly wide greenway here with trails, and also you can see the streets are easily drivable, but also because we're hiding parking, a huge amount of parking by just basically utilizing your streets that way. And also this area here is a shallow, it's concave because this is a shallow swale of the park that would be a great place to collect and manage your snow and rainwater and ice. Basically, this is where it all can go while we're waiting for it to melt, and keep all your streets nice and cleaner and clean. So that kind of thing. And of course, some of the more dense housing versions. These are just saying, well, you know, you've got a lot of big houses here. You have, I think, maybe 1% for townhouses right now. You could probably use a few more. It's showing you examples of saying, yes, we'd like more of a housing choice, more of a variety of housing. So this is just one of several examples. We're not saying this is all it's going to be. It should be, this should just be an increased percentage of what you have. You know, and again, this is a green street. You can see this is actually a street, a public way, and with sidewalks and trails that take you down the street. Oh, I can go back.
I'm good. I figured
Sorry
it
about that. Trigger happy here. And then also these kind of swales that, you know, basically in soft skate and that type of thing. Okay, good. Now, this is the town circle version of the traditional plan, and you can see in the plan here, this is all what I've just been describing to you. Quite clear and nice. The last rendering was of the street right here with the green on one side. Then you come down the sledding hill, down the main street. So you have the sledding. So you have this green street here. This is your square, kind of like your town center square, which is a more intimate scale space rather than a large sledding hill. And then so you're going, you know, greenway here, you know, a green square here, the green sledding hill here, a green finger here, and into this big green circle, green park circle, that basically becomes your kind of centerpiece. Now, again, this is, you see this and, oh, it's teeny tiny little drawings, but just for the scale of this is 300 feet across the green space, just inside the circle. Think in terms of, that's the length of a football field. That's the scale of it. So a football field in a circular form. And what that means is, what that becomes is up to you as citizens and leaders, because all year long you can program this with lots of different things, or you can take a portion of it, a large portion of it, and just make it a beautiful park and green space. You can program things like, you know, fountains and water features, like this is like the scale of DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., and St. Armand Circle in Sarasota. They use them for lots of different things year-round. You could even you know, what would happen here is the Yellow Brick Road putt-putt golf course goes away. You could even have kind of like, you know, now they make them all putt-putts. They're all portable. You just take them out, you set them in place for the summer months, and you put them back in storage and put something else there at a different season. You can keep all the fun stuff that makes you what you are. We just want to, you know, basically celebrate it and create a, you know, a significant there. So the bottom line is with this, we have two different plans, but they're identical except for the circle. And the circle is the question, you know, that we want to further study, because, and I've done, you know, you can see I'm older, I've had a lot of experience working on projects all over the place. You said there always needs to be what we kind of call an X factor. And an X factor basically means something that really is memorable that people remember. You know, it's not just a main street, or it's not just a town green. Yeah, West Jefferson's already got that. You know, Blowing Rock's already got a main street, so on like that. But who has a town circle? You know, that's your signature. So it's up for you all if you're interested. And again, and I think I've mentioned this in previous meetings, is these new ideas are very fragile, incredibly fragile, and you really have to be careful to breathe them into life. And so it's not going to be us to really promote this. You have to be the gatekeepers and the champions of this. So if you decide this is something that you'd like to do, then you have to really, really support it and give it a chance of light, you know, chance of daylight, just to test the idea and see if we can make it happen. Because I think it'll be something very special for you all, and I think we've really done our job well if we can pull this off. So I think that's all. I think, except for a few diagrams that show how that works, which I've shown you already. Here's the property, and with the circulation, still the same networks and so forth, and green space. You can see here there's more green space, obviously, with this one, and clearly walkable. And then the last thing is, because we have so much parking that's available for guests that are, you know, your ski guests and other festivals. Like, sorry, I missed the Flannel Fest. Was it last weekend or the weekend before? But the idea is that when people come here, they can basically just use your town, and because, you know, it's easy to get around, and the parking is not obnoxious. You know, it's done in a way that the scale of it doesn't overwhelm anyone. But also, what it means is that if you want to get to the ski slopes, instead of parking in the overflow lot and being shuttled down the hill, the idea is that basically you park, you know, we probably have, what, 800 or so extra parking spaces here. You can park in your town center, and basically, if you wanted to, you could do a, I would say, I call it a sky transport, because I don't know if ski lift is the right thing, just people down on their feet on skis. I think, you know, something like maybe it's a little bit like, I always love the old 1960 clamshell things y'all had here. That's your tradition. Maybe you could find a great designer and bring them back as part of your new signature. Something like that would be really cool. But basically, I'm not going to go through these numbers again, but they're pretty much identical, except for that we have basically more green space, with a slightly less commercial. You can see here, which I think, because this is a town-sponsored and community-sponsored plan, I think we've got a significant amount of commercial space, you know. But let's really think about the green space, the park space, the community space, and, you know, if this is going to be kind of a civic plan like, you know, Burnham did for Chicago, that's what it's about. It's creating a great place for everyone. And, you know, the street network is being thought out. This is something we want to study further. And then also, this is really important. I didn't mean to say it for last, but basically linking north, kind of like we were showing you everything up to this point right here, but you can see that basically it does connect back, you know, further down the hill here, and a couple of additional places. We can't get all the way down because of the switchbacks here, but we can certainly make different ways of getting through, so it helps distribute and mitigate the traffic congestion. And here's a view of the town circle one. You can see kind of the circle here, and then I've talked again about all the, you know, the systems of getting around the other ways. And then also, here's another view towards the pinnacle with the circle in the distance. And so here's the circle inserted, kind of, you know, where you have the bend right now. And I think this is here's the circle here. And with, you know, it's kind of the buildings around it. The sledding hill is here. There's a new greenway, green finger that comes down through here. And you can see here how cool this could be. You know, it's a large open area here with all sorts of fun stuff around it. So.
One more. This has
Oh, and then here's, Did you see all of a sudden the lift of some type appears? So it starts up at that square at the very top of the hill, and you float over the sledding hill, watching all these kids out there, and then it takes you down, because you're across this town circle to the other side, and then up to the ski slopes. So wouldn't that be cool? I mean, just, you know. So anyway, or you could just walk, over it. You know, that's the thing. So we don't know. If y'all don't like it or not like it, it's up to y'all.
Couple of, I hate to be the person to say this, I don't like this part of the job, but this meeting was going to be for the council to review, and this will be online. If you guys do have questions, then please contact the town manager. And I apologize, this is what I was asked to do. Don't shoot the messenger.
And so we've got a little long, we're 2 more slides and we're finished, so, but we thought this might be important. The traditional, thank you, thanks, Tom. The traditional, we started to look at comparing apples and apples. Traditional plan, the town circle plan, and then the question was, well, what could somebody do on that land just by right with existing zoning without even having to come to town hall? And we were kind of surprised at the numbers that we got, and this was, the by right one was looked at by our planner as well as verified by your planner. But in each case, 22.7 acres. The commercial development in traditional is 101,000 in town circle. But somebody could develop 150,000 square foot of commercial on there by right now on those parcels. You can see the residences, we have 339, 314, 116, by right now. Dedicated open space. Okay. Dedicated open space. You can see both of our plans have 10 acres and 12 acres, which is out of 22.7, it's half the land. And by right, none would be required. It would just be kind of a sprawl example. Dwelling units per acres here. Also parking, the needs generated by our plans, 720 and 653. You have 624 generated by these uses. But what's important is the parking provided. 1815, 1813, but by right would only be 189 required. And those would be in lots that would have, private lot, not for you. So there's a huge difference in the planned version versus just by right. And I believe when that got brought up, because I believe some folks have thought, well, it's just kind of a preserve the way it is, but it's not. It's land waiting to be developed. And the final slide, benefits of a planned commercial district. One, it manages the growth. This district would have strict development controls through agreements, because remember, you're selling some of that land, and form-based code. Number 2, traffic. The commercial district places reasonable roads in that grid pattern for all residents to benefit. 3, revenues. And there are 2 types of revenues. One is new tax revenue streams from the commercial properties. And the second is the transferring of municipal properties for their leveraged value position because of the plan. Number 4, housing. You'll see, as you saw in Tom's presentation, it's specifically designed to create what people ask for, the workforce and young family housing in particular, what people are asking for. 5, parking. These planned communities, both of them, solve high demand time parking without the need for big empty lots. And finally, convenience. Services for town residents will be contained in that commercial district. So for next steps, and Bob will talk to you about this in a minute, we'd be requesting town council approval. Then immediately we would request a municipal economist to make a model for us to determine the viability of the commercial district plan. And that would ensure fiscally prudent investment that will not cause an increase in taxes or fees for residents. That was part of the mission of what we're trying to do. Third, after we pass that test, agreements with the property owners within the downtown district, and then we get into logistics and phasing, including the property owners on their schedules, grants schedules, and timing of financing mechanism. We get into design, including zoning, infrastructure design, and the form-based code. Then we would do developer and partner solicitation, and then let's build a downtown. So that's our presentation. Sorry we went more like 45 to 50 minutes, but there's a lot of material here, and I really appreciate the chance. We've thoroughly enjoyed working with you all summer, and thank you very much for having us tonight.
Thank
You guys have questions
you.
for David?
So what did you need from us, direction to take it to phase 2?
Well, Well, Mayor, as I said, this completes the Hill Group and their esteemed team's contract with the town to provide this plan to you. And so they've fulfilled their contract as of tonight. You've seen the vision, and it's pretty, okay? I'm a nuts and bolts person, and so that last slide, and I'm gonna put it back up, that's what I'd like us to accomplish. So we can either end tonight and put the plan on the shelf, and in my experience, nothing will be done. And 5 years from now, someone will pull it off and say, look what they did. What I'd like to do is have the town council give us direction, pick a plan, or ask us to continue studying the circle. But I'd like to move to phase 2, and that's these next steps, start building on what we've done. This is not gonna be done overnight, but it's something that we need to keep the momentum. If we lose momentum, then we'll, in my opinion, we'll have a plan that looks pretty, a lot of nice pictures, a lot of good thoughts, but we won't be able to implement it. So what I'd like the council to do is give us direction to move forward. If you go to phase 2, we'll do an RFP. I'll ask the Hill Group to give us a proposal to phase 2, a price. I propose to take it to the TDA and ask them to fund that. And then in several months, we'll begin working on these steps and be back to you many, many, many times.
So Chief, with option 2, I believe that was the roundabout at the resort, would we be able to go to phase 2 and then at the same time incorporate a roundabout so that we can eliminate some of the bottleneck? Or does one project go hand in hand with?
No, they don't go hand in hand. We've got the low-hanging fruit, as David said, and we need to begin moving on that piece. That's not the circle we're talking about. We're talking about the circle up at the front.
Yeah.
The piece at the resort, you know, I wish I'd have thought of it, to be honest with you, but we need to move on that now. And so we meet with Mr. Costin, we start looking at the property issues and how to build that, and talk about it in budget. That is not part of phase 2. Phase 2 is taking this commercial district plan and some of the things that you've seen and actually fine tuning it. Probably, they don't like it when I say this, but less pictures, more facts and figures. We've got to be able to pay for it. We've got to be able to have an implementable plan, and that's what I'd like to see.
So that said, and I'm happy to do it, make a motion to move forward with phase 2 of the commercial district plan to include the, I guess, revision or review of the town circle plan as part of that.
Second. I'd like to do that.
Question on the greenways. I know that we've had problems before with acquiring approval for sidewalks based on DOT and based on private landowners. So the original setup of this, does that include negotiations with that, or is phase 2 then going to start moving into negotiations with said owners and DOT and?
Well, I don't think we get in phase 2, to be honest with you, I don't think we'll get to the property owners negotiation stage. But I will talk to DOT. Their team brought a DOT liaison, I forget his name, but he and I spoke at length, and he has connections, and he has the design experience to help us through the DOT process. As you know, we couldn't even get a crosswalk. So to put these pull-offs on the road coming up to do the circle, it's going to require DOT's buy-in and funding. So who was the gentleman?
Maybe Bill Woods.
Bill. So he had experience with DOT, and we spent some time. So I think in phase 2, we would begin finalizing some of those design issues and going to the state and asking and going through that process. Our town has some connections with DOT as well that we've built over the years. So I think that's doable. To answer your question, I don't believe phase 2 would get into the negotiation with private property owners yet. That's probably a subsequent period of time that we're going to have to discuss.
What is the time frame for phase 2? I know it all varies on a lot of, but, you know, is it 1 to 3 years? Is it 3 to 5? Or?
No, I'm not gonna be here that long.
I know.
So,
Neither am I.
that's part of what we're gonna ask the design team to define exactly what that scope of services is for phase 2, exactly what we're expecting and how much is that going to cost. Then I've gotta go to TDA and ask for funding. And then we've gotta execute a contract. So realistically, we're looking, you know, first of the year to get started on phase 2. And then when we negotiate or discuss that scope of services, we'll have a timeline. But I see phase 2, we did this, I didn't do anything, they did this pretty quickly. You know, we had a short time frame. We began in the spring, and here we are, you know, early
This has
fall.
been 6 months, which I think is ideal.
So I think it would be similar. And I can't speak for exactly what the scope will be yet, but we need to define that. We need to keep the momentum going is what I'd like to see.
I mean, I'm all in favor of developing a comprehensive plan. I think it's long overdue, and as we've talked before, we've had these in the past, and they go on the shelf, and, you know, every now and then somebody dusts it off and puts it back.
I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, I think, you know, we need to get some momentum, we need to keep pushing forward on this, and take it until we hit a wall or it comes into fruition. So I'm all in favor to go on phase 2.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Chief?
I want to say thank you.
Thanks, guys.
May I say like one last thing? So, in appreciation for someone in this room that got us through all the stuff that we've been involved with, we wanted to thank this person right over here.
Ms. Katie, come on up.
And so a little background. So after the first charrette, working with all these young, energetic people, I was totally bonkers and wiped out. And that morning of presentation, I wandered up your sledding hill and set up my little sketch easel. And opened a couple of beverages and started this sketch of your pinnacle here. And this is the finished product here. And it's kind of in a print here form, and I just wanted to make sure you got this, and we'll be happy to frame it for you however you like, so you can hang it and hang it on the wall. I'm also going to leave some I'm going to leave some with Fred too. So. Framing will be part of this. Framing part of this. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, this next item is item 8.4, public hearing on various code amendments. And hey, guys, let us finish, please. I need a motion to call for a public hearing.
Motion?
Second.
All right, folks, this is a public hearing on item 8.4. Anyone like to speak?
Yes. We advertised it last month for tonight.
Yep. All right, so we got no speakers, so we'll close the public hearing. Council, so we have an option. We can either table this for next month and vote on it, or we can vote to approve it tonight. You guys have any questions? Council, any questions?
It's pretty
All
straightforward to me.
all in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good. Item 8.4, Chief, is approved.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sale of police surplus. Need a motion to accept the sale of police surplus items.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I did have one thing. Did I notice somewhere that I was reading that it had Tim's name versus Gary's name?
It did. We made an error in what we printed out. It was discovered in the resolution that the mayor is to sign has Gary's name.
That's all I have.
That was my fault.
Yep, good eye. I need a vote on this. All in favor of item 8.5? Opposed, same sign. Item 8.6. This is resolution, I need a motion to open the resolution to the amendment of the solid waste franchise agreement.
Motion.
Need a second? Second. Chief, do you want to discuss this, please?
Sure, Mayor and Council, if you recall back before we renewed the franchise with Republic back in June, which you did, you asked the staff to go and put some strengthen the existing franchise and put some teeth in it, is what you said. So the town attorney, Daniel Davis, and myself sat down, and this proposal is before you to do exactly that. And basically,
Hey, guys, we're not trying to be rude, but we can hear every word up here, please. Thank you.
okay. So basically, what it does is it sets a little bit more standards for service, and it gives a $250 per day per incident fine for failure to comply with the ordinance. So you were concerned with Republic not getting up here in the winter and picking up dumpsters. We have almost 30 dumpsters in their system up here. If they were unable to make it up here and in violation of the ordinance, and there is some criteria, it would be a $250 fine per occurrence per day. That would give the town substantial teeth to improve the service. There's some other issues that are in there about reporting to the town, having a customer service line that actually works. All the things that you asked for in June, I think, have been put into this ordinance. What I'd like to do is get maybe some feedback, but the town attorney reminded me you need to call for public hearing on this ordinance change for next month, which will be the November meeting. So you'll have 30 days to review it and make a decision. If there's something you see in there that we did not cover, if you'd give me a call and we'll address it and get it in there. But basically, when you go through all the legal mumbo jumbo that the town attorney put together, it's the substantial fines for failure to pick up, which is a per customer, which is per dumpster per se, per day fine, and then the customer service issues. I will say that the mayor and I and Daniel have a meeting with the representative from Republic next week, and we are going to go over these issues with them as well.
So they haven't seen it yet?
We've discussed it, but they haven't seen the written document. So the action today I need for you, if you'd like, is to call for a public hearing for the November meeting.
Motion for public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's see, item 8.7 and 8.8 kind of go hand in hand. This is a resolution for 2025 wastewater resiliency project. This is where we've got up to $15 million of, this is a grant, correct, Chief?
It's a loan that's forgivable at 100% zero interest. So the first one is for the water system grant of $5 million. It's currently capped at that. It's a zero interest loan with 100% loan forgiveness at the end of the term. And then the second one is sewer. It's $10 million, and it is the same zero interest loan with 100% forgiveness at the end.
The term?
The term is negotiable. It can be up to 20 years.
So what direction do you need from us on this?
Well, both resolutions authorize myself and the finance director to enter into negotiations for these two loans.
So you need a vote on this?
I do, for each one.
You guys have any questions? No. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. So that was item 8.6, and I included 8.7. Is that okay for?
That was 8.7.
That'd be 8.7. Would you take?
I'm sorry, 8.7 and 8.8.
Would you take a separate vote on 8.8?
Okay, need a separate vote on 8.8. All in favor of 8.8?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8.9, this is with Truist. I need a motion to open the Truist equipment loan
Motion.
proposal. Very good.
Second.
So Chief, you want to explain this?
Yes, Mayor, at budget time, you authorized these capital purchases. One is from the sanitation fund, the remaining are from the general fund. And at that time, I told you that we would entertain financing those purchases, and it's right at about $700,000. The days of almost free money are gone, and so we went out and the finance director solicited a quote from Truist Bank, and it's 4.83% over 60 months. The decision before you tonight, quite frankly, is the cost of that loan is going to be about $150,000 and $175,000 at the end of the term, depending on which term you pick and which interest rate, on a $700,000 capital purchase, $700,000 capital purchase. Even at 5 years, we're buying police cars. And on the sanitation fund, that cable truck will certainly last 5 years, but police cars, by the time we pay this off and an extra $175,000, we probably don't have much left. My question to you is, you can approve this tonight, we'll go through what we said at the budget, or would you entertain using fund balance? It's $200,000 out of the sanitation fund balance, which we do have, and $500,000 out of the general fund balance, and forego the cost of the loan, which is about $150,000 to $175,000. The question being, do we have the funds to do that? We do. However, I'm very cautious because we're still in the middle of FEMA negotiations and cash flow problems and things like that. So I wanted to bring it to you. This is what we said we do in the budget. The interest rate is substantial from what we're used to. So before we agree, I wanted to at least give you the options and you decide what you wanted me to do.
So,
Mayor, I'll also note that if you choose this loan, there is a prepayment penalty. So if you prepaid it, you would have to pay all the interest that would accrue anyway.
okay.
So that's worth noting because that's also a change.
So Chief said between $150,000 and $175,000. Money isn't as cheap as what it was 5 years ago. So just say on an average, $160,000 is what that'll save us. We do have a healthy fund balance, and just with and Chief mentioned FEMA. I know he wants to be conservative, and I think we all been conservative. But with my working with the federal officials and state officials, I feel confident that we're going to be reimbursed with some additional funds that will absorb this $700,000. So my vote is okay, my opinion, sir, is to take it out of fund balance.
The money is a lot more expensive than we thought when during budget discussions. I'm very conservative in other people's money. But then again, it has a cost. And this is, when you look at the overall cost, it's pretty steep. That's another car, another police car.
No, it's more than one.
Yeah.
We don't buy $150,000 police cars.
Well, by the time you outfit it and all that.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd be in favor of using fund balance, I think.
Withdraw and remake a motion, or
Sir?
do we need to withdraw this motion on this and remake a motion?
So there's
To go to
not
fund balance, or?
presently a motion for the loan. If you make take no action on the loan, then you just don't take out the loan. You could vote to direct the manager to allocate fund balance as indicated. He'll have to bring you back a budget amendment in the future, but that would be the direction to provide if that's your decision.
So just to be clear again, what's the two different numbers between using tourist and using fund balance?
Well, fund balance, there's no
Yeah, but
interest.
what are we looking at $700,000?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be just the basic amount that's going to fund balance.
Correct.
So then we're talking $870,000 if we decide to go with the loan.
For the full
Okay.
term of the loan.
You can't pay off early.
So,
Correct.
so I get it right, we can request that that our town manager brings us back we make a motion for our town manager to bring us back a budget amendment for,
Yes,
for
you would just
item
need to
8-9?
do consensus for that and take no action on item 8-9.
So I put a motion on the table to proceed with the purchase using fund balance as requested.
We have to, don't we first have to take no action on item 8-9?
Yes, sir, but that doesn't require a vote.
Okay,
That's just, no action was taken.
all right. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you. We'll do that.
All right. Okay, Chief,
Mayor,
you're up.
I'm trying to make it as short as possible because I know we had a long meeting. So let me start with the Lake Buckeye report. The mechanical debris removal was supposed to start today. I haven't heard if they showed up. We're going to stage the material at Shane Park for dewatering prior to being hauled to the Cherry Gap disposal site. This will return the lake to its pre-Helene capacity, about another 2 million gallons. More importantly, damage to the water plant intake structure has been found to be greater than was initially anticipated. It's now deemed to be a critical repair and will either have to repair or replace the entire intake. It requires draining the lake. It cannot be done because of the water in the lake, the proximity of the dam, and how the intake was built. The engineers now are telling us that you have to drain the lake. Obviously, we can't drain the lake and still produce water with the water plant. It could take 6 months of the lake being drained to rebuild or replace the intake. To make it even more difficult, the dam safety, and I don't mean that negatory, the dam safety engineers from the state are very concerned about us and how we lower the water in the lake based on the stability of the dam. It's been infiltrated with water over the years, and you just can't pull the water away the other side. The water that's in the dam will try to come back out and in any case, we have a big problem. So what we've done in the short term is we've designed, and it is on order, a pump around process that could last maybe 4 or 5 years as a temporary pump around. And what we're going to do is we're going to set a submersible pump on a flotation in the lake and pump water as the lake goes up and down into the water plant. To very short and simple.
You abandon the 3 now, or just?
Well, no, they would just be left because we have to repair them. And so because this is Helene damage, we've asked FEMA to step in and assist us not only with the emergency pump around, but this repair that must be done when the lake can be drained, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. And so it's beyond their pay grade locally, and so they've engaged what they call their specialist team that comes out of Asheville and deals with this type of thing, as well as the Army Corps of Engineers. So we're still negotiating that. I still ordered the pump and the pieces that make it work, and it has a 6 to 8 week delivery.
How much is a pump?
It's about $50,000 project, and no, and I expect FEMA will fund that. So so that'll get us to be able to get water all the way down as the lake drains down, where we now have 3 intakes that aren't usable. This pump arguably would then float on the surface of the water, and as the lake went down during drought, it would be able to pump water. We believe, the engineers believe, that this is the solution for a temporary solution which may last years. With that said, to drain the lake, we have to have another water supply, which brings into Lake Coffee. So for this repair from Helene to actually take place, Coffee has to be built, has to be operational, and we have to be able to switch the water plant to the new reservoir. So we'll be able to drain Buckeye for a period of 6 months, the way it goes around here, longer than that, make the repair, refill the lake, Buckeye, and then we would have the end of the project. It's years away is what I'm trying to say. And FEMA is going to be requested to fund that project over a course of years, which they don't like to do. We're also going to ask them to help us with Lake Coffee, because now that becomes part of this emergent repair. It gets very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. Bottom line is we're going to solve our immediate issue with this temporary pump around system and then go through the process of negotiating, coming up with the Army Corps of Engineers, figure out who's going to pay for it and how it's going to be done. So you should know that it's a critical issue with our water plant, and for the next 6 to 8 weeks before we get that pump in place and wired up, we're at the mercy of the lake and where we are with the intake. And just a few short weeks ago, we were very close to going to phase 3 because we had a mini drought and the lake was dropping substantially, and we were not able to get water out of most of the lake. We're stuck at about 15 feet. So this floating pump will be able to, they tell me, will be able to solve that problem for the next couple of years going through. So you should know about that. So what we did, because of the little drought that we had, and I got very nervous, lost a lot of sleep, is we put the Pinnacle well back in service. As you recall, we had pulled the well out, we had cambered the well, we had found what the issues were, and people in the world of wells were working on a possible solution, and they did not get one yet and have a meeting next week. Anyways, we put it back in service, and we're now developing on an emergency basis about 50,000 gallons a day. Don't know how long that's going to last, and we don't run it when we don't need it. So that's a stopgap as we go into the winter season. So water, source water, is a critical issue now for the town, has been, but it just seems to be more in focus with the damage that we've experienced from the storm. Any questions on that? That's the big thing I had to report. FEMA, we're doing better with FEMA until they close the government. So obligated project funding, an obligation doesn't mean money. Obligation means that someone decided that all your paperwork was good and they would approve that expenditure. And so obligated means you did all the work, but doesn't mean you got paid yet. So obligated funding is at $5,024,000. We have that money obligated. We've got another $1.9 million that looks really good that's pending with the state. And so we're close to about $7 to $8 million from FEMA. We just haven't gotten much of that. We've gotten some, but we haven't got much of that. So we're continuing to work the process with FEMA, and we're better off than we were my last report to you. We have more projects obligated than we had non-obligated, and we have more dollars promised than we had before. So it's a process, and it's very painful.
Where do we stand on our loans? Have we expended all that loan money?
Yes, sir. So I'm pretty much, I've signed the last contract of the year with removal of the material at the lake and hauling it to Cherry Gap because I don't have any more money. So not using fund balance, using the no interest loans, cash flow loans, etc. We've signed the contracts that will expend most of that money. And so now we're waiting for FEMA to pay us back, and we'll pay down those loans and go into the spring with additional work. So that's where we're at. Roads and culvert report, if you look at page 96, Councilman Beckman, you wanted a report every month on what got accomplished. If you look at 96, that's as of when we printed the agenda, that's what's been accomplished. They've been working every day since. The bottom line is there's 23 roads that have been completed, 2 packages completed at 100%, small package 6 and 7A, 18 culverts have been replaced, and we've completed the total paving on Buckeye Creek Road. So that's where we stand. We're probably a little bit ahead of this today because we had another week to get work done, but and we'll continue to produce that report for you every month. Spot pavement repairs, we had a discussion tonight from a resident about Pinnacle. So we've got over 100, I want to say 120 is probably a little bit less, spots that were damaged by the storm, as well as utility cuts that need to be repaired. Lake Road is a good example as you go around the corner there by the tennis courts. Moretz Paving has been contracted. They did the back gate, they did Buckeye Creek Road. They've agreed and given us a price to do those 100 and change spot repairs. We are not successful in putting pavement down in a little strip and making it work. You've got to cut substantially on either side, repave it, pack the base, repave it. So those will be underway as we speak. We contracted that, and Moretz will be making those repairs. When they get to Pinnacle, I don't know, but those repairs will be taken care of. The Charter Hill repair, you were going to approve a bid tonight for the sewer relocation, and we got no bids yesterday. So we're back to the position of no one wants to bid on the projects, which will just substantially delay the project even longer. What this means is that we won't be able to do that sewer work probably, before winter, which means it won't get done, which means we'll have to get it done in the spring, assuming we can find a contractor that'll do the work. And then we can, once the sewer line is repaired and replaced and relocated, we'll be able to work on the Charter Hills repair. So that was
I think all the contractors are so busy now that they just don't want to commit to this project, and things will loosen up in the spring.
Well, yes. I think what I asked the engineer yesterday when we got no bids, I want to put this project in a bigger project. We're doing utility work all over the mountain, and they're big multi-million-dollar projects. This is relatively a small relocation, and no one wanted to bid on it, I assume. So we're going to combine it into a larger project. It's not as easy as that because this is a FEMA project, and FEMA doesn't like you combining with anything else. But for me to get a contractor up here, I'll need to go that route. Greenbrier Road has been repaved. It's complete. We're waiting on the striping contractor. They were here today. I don't know where they went.
They did Tamarack.
But the striper is going to do all the roads, including Buckeye Creek, and get the reflectors down. So hopefully that will resolve that. Tax bills are expected to be mailed by the end of the week. We've got problems with Watauga County data format again. Just to let everybody know, taxes are due January 5th, I believe it is. Reminder that your next council meeting is going to be held on the second Wednesday, which is the 12th of November, due to Veterans Day being on the 11th. It was noticed last January when we put out your schedule, but I want to make sure that you and the public know that we'll meet on the Wednesday of the month in November, and it'll be the 12th. The Christmas parade is Tuesday, the 23rd of December. The theme is No Place Like Beach Mountain at Christmas time. And we have a new parade route. It'll be at the top of the mountain, and Parks and Rec will have additional details as we get going. And as winter approaches, please visit the fire department website for fireplace and chimney safety information. This is the time where everybody cranks up their fireplace, throws in a cord of wood, lights it on fire, and keeps me very busy at night. So there's plenty of good information on the fire department website, and keep your chimney clean.
But once again, Chief Trussell, take my ideas. All right. Councilman?
Well, thanks to Chief Budney and all the town workers as always. They're keeping us going and keeping the town in good shape, and we really appreciate that. I believe that the Hill Studios presentation went very well, and it's an exciting time for our town, and looking forward to what the next stage will bring us to phase 2.
I was really moved by the departure of the Cyclone. I think Cyclone, I mean, we all say he gets long-winded, but he always got something to say. And the end of it, when he finishes, you're like, oh man, that's what I wanted to hear. He's gonna be missed. He's both here at council and throughout the town. I mean, I remember playing golf with him, way back in the 90s, I would think. And he's been a good friend. He's a neighbor. Hey, we all move on. So I thank him.
Councilman Stanford?
Thank you. I just want to remind everybody that it is election season coming up in November. There's 3 of us on the ballot. If you don't vote for the people to my left, that's your choice. No, but seriously, it's important you get out and vote. It's municipal election season, so it's usually a low voter turnout. But in order to decide a 2-year term versus a 4-year term, we have to have votes come in. So please take time to go to the polls and vote for who you choose or write in who you want. It's been an honor serving on town council, and I hope to continue to do that.
Here on Stanford. So just want to let everyone know, last weekend for the Historical Society Museum is this weekend. So if you haven't been, make sure you stop by. The calendars are still for sale at the museum. Shout out to Brick Oven. They are doing a Friendsgiving in November 13th. You just need to RSVP to them if you're going to come. It's a great community get together. Council will be there to answer questions. It's post-election, but we'll still be there. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to also talk about Trunk or Treat is coming up for Halloween. So if you would like to provide, that would be great. I'll be there as far as council goes. Plans are in motion. I wanted to thank Lise McRae Ski and Snowboard Team. They rebuilt the Pinnacle Trail in 3.5 hours as part of the Lise McRae Day of Service. That was something that was mentioned through Parks and Rec that was going to take days. We had 27 athletes that showed up to rebuild that trail. Last but not least, congratulations on the farmers market. It was an amazing turnout. If you need any of some of the good stuff, especially Beach Mountain Farms, the alpaca store down now in Banner Elk is providing all that local.
Thank you. Last year, Shop with a Cop, we had a stellar year. I think they were willing to raise somewhere between $5,000 to $8,000, and we were able to raise $30,000. So keep these children in your hearts, and you can make donations to the Beach Mountain Police Department, and you can also use your debit and credit card. There is a fee for that, and you can drop a check off at the police department or town hall. Then also we have the Angel Tree. All gifts must be at Buckeye by December the 1st at 6:30. I think it's remarkable that for years and years we were told that Buckeye Creek Road couldn't get paved, and you give Chief Pudney a task and he gets it done. So congratulations on all the hard work that went into Buckeye. You know, in Greenbrier, I was pessimistic. I didn't think Greenbrier would ever get paved or ever get fixed, or the pipes. You know, Greenbrier is Greenbrier. So now Greenbrier is a new Greenbrier. So thanks for all that had their hands on that. So Forrest, questions kind of directed to you. I sent some postcards out, and I noticed that one address of mine said 783 Hudson, and another address said 537 Beach Mountain. May I vote in both counties?
You need to pick one, but I will say you can't live in a post office box.
Okay. And you know, two more things, and not trying to be rude, but sometimes when folks are talking in the back, their voices carry up here, we can hear every word. And last thing I want to do is try to be rude to the folks that are coming in here. So please don't take it offensively when we ask you guys to keep your whispering to a minimum. I was told not to say this, but after Stanford, he and I had a little competition with each other. Stanford and I were out the other day, and he said, "Will you go get me one of your postcards?" And I said, "Sure, I'll go get you a postcard." And I'm like, here, will you vote for me? Well, the person, so someone was written, what you see on Facebook isn't necessarily true. So. Really? What? Someone wrote a comment that I was soliciting votes, and I was, to my competitor. And it's unfortunate that they live on Beach Mountain, and they're a resident voter, and they don't know who their council is. So get to know who your council is. Don't read everything that's on social media.
Because I had my beard back. People
That's probably true. Hey, thank you for everyone that attended today. I think it was a very productive meeting. I look forward into, what we saw with the Hill Group. It's going to be a slow, tedious process, but at least we have some vision on where the town can potentially go. So thanks again for everyone that came. Meeting adjourned.